by the Dolls. 4. Love that one, man. 7:47.
You're so talented.
It is Friday. Good morning. The show proudly brought to you by Ambrose Inc., IT&E, Calvo Enterprises, the Bank of Guam, and Coast 360. Yeah, we had Lieutenant Governor Josh Tenorio on was it Tuesday. Talked briefly about Pride Month, and we're going to bring on Lasia here to talk about some of the things that you guys are doing with Pride Month. Obviously, Lasia, it's going to be a lot bit different this year, right? Good morning.
Mm-hmm. Half a day, Chris. Half a day, Sabina. Half a day, Guam.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I got first. Let's just start real quick with there's a Pride Wave, and this is in support of Black Lives Matter happening today.
Today,
at
correct,
4 to 6. So just take us back to the beginning. How did you guys come up with this idea, and what's it going to be like to execute it this afternoon?
Well, normally Pride Month is the time when our community comes together to commemorate the beginning of the modern LGBTQ equal rights movement, which started 51 years ago now. When a group of police officers busted into the Stonewall in Greenwich Village, and members of our community, trans Black activists, trans women, people of color, LGBTQ people of color fought against them, and it started 5 days of riots. As a result of the discrimination and police brutality in our community. And so this is where we intersect, I believe, with the Black Lives Matter movement. That our community has a keen understanding of oppression, violence, and discrimination. And there are many members of our community that are persons of color, and we weren't able to do our normal celebrations this year. Normally last week would have kicked off Pride Month, and we had events scheduled for every day of the week. This year, due to COVID, we had to kind of reposition ourselves, and this is what we came up with, a wave in support of LGBTQ Pride Month, and extending the hand to our brothers and sisters at Black Lives Matter.
I think that's an interesting how you connected those dots there, because I think in a lot of people's head they would never connect Black Lives Matter with LGBTQ discrimination and Pride Month. So that's very good.
Thank you.
What's the discussion been like as far as turnout? Were you members of the community at the other Black Lives Matters protest?
Yes, I was there. I did attend. I did see some people, and I think it's important for us to go out and support this movement. And I spoke with the other group, Gala Guam, and they supported as well, and their members will be out there today supporting, waving with us at the corner across from ITC building.
Mm-hmm.
So a Pride Month, right? What are we planning to do? And I know it's going to be a more muted celebration, but we had the LT on, and he seemed to say that maybe some things were going to be happening later on in the month.
We're looking at, we're participating, Guam Pride is participating in World Pride, Global Pride. It's an online 24-hour event, and we were actually videotaping a segment yesterday on the beach to contribute. So anyone can log on, and it's going to happen on June 27th, and we'll post information on the Guam Pride Facebook page for people to just go on and see what's going on. A digital pride from around the world. There will be entertainers, and there will be a little segment in there from Guam. We're talking about, we've been in talks with Pride Marianas in Saipan. That's our sister pride here in Marianas, right. And they're doing a Pride and Ride, and we may do something like that where we just have a convoy and we may go from village to village.
Sounds kind of frisky, Lasia. Pride and Ride.
You know about that when you know.
Oh! So basically, it'd be a motorcade around the island, right? That's a
yes.
We have anything concrete on that?
No, we're just in talks right now. I want to get through today and see where we're at. I know that prior to the shutdown, the LTNI and other members from our community, Gala and some stakeholders, we had sent out a press release about Equality Guam, which we were going to launch, which is an advocacy group, to raise awareness about LGBT youth in the schools and help support them and raise money for their social groups, as well as another arm of that, which would work with the legislature in advocating for equal rights and laws that would help support our community.
I wanted if you could just put this all into perspective and maybe just talk about the discrimination that the LGBTQ community still is confronted with today, and why these events are important for people to come out and support.
Well, as you know, we have a huge military community here on Guam. We have an Air Force base and a Navy base. And right now, the current Trump administration has put a ban on transgender people enlisting. And we do have transgender veterans and soldiers here on island that live in fear of their life. They don't know if they're going to have a job or if the discrimination is going to continue. Just recently, I read about the Trump administration trying to make it illegal for same-sex couples to adopt. We've come so far to have this particular administration try and set us back. And I was reading just a couple of days ago that Congress passed a law banning lynching, but there were certain Republican senators that were trying to exclude lynching of LGBTQ people in the law. So, these are discriminations we face on a daily basis. A few years ago, we did make it legal for same-sex marriage here in Guam. And, I've been working with GVB to try and help build up the LGBTQ tourism. Recently, Taiwan made it also legal for same-sex to they recognize same-sex marriage. And that would be a great market for us to say, hey, you can come to Guam, get married here, and it'll be recognized in your country. And that doesn't happen in the surrounding countries. Also that was passed, when Senator Cruz, B.J. Cruz, passed the Agenda Act, the Guam Employment Non-Discrimination Act, which made, and that was only 5 years ago, that makes it illegal to discriminate against employees in the workplace. But we still don't have laws that say, hey, you can't discriminate in public places or in housing or healthcare here. And we have had senators that have tried to pass that, and they were shot down.
And maybe also if you can talk about, aside from fighting for the rights of the LGBTQ community, but there may be, youth out there, right, who may be having a hard time coming out to their parents, and, maybe you can talk to them.
Absolutely. And if you're listening, I want you to know that it gets better. It gets better. We have, in the past few years, there have been individuals like Isaiah Ogden, who I think is on your sister station, Power 98, who had started one of the first LGBTQ clubs in Simon Sanchez. And I'm starting to see them pop up in other schools here in Guam. And what we want to do is we want to help these groups raise money so that they can buy their T-shirts, so that they can buy their materials. They can come to the Pride Waves. And we want our kids to know that they're loved, and we want the parents to learn that, hey, these are our kids. This is our culture. They're the front line, in this. And we need to support our children here on Guam. There's safe spaces out there, and that's the mission of Guam Pride, is to celebrate LGBTQ culture here in the Marianas, in our Chamorro culture, and to remember and commemorate our history. There's so many LGBTQ people here that contribute to our island. There are teachers, there are lawyers, there are people in our hospitality industry, there are people in government, we have our entertainers, and they're all positive contributors to our society. And we need our kids, we need these people to come up and be positive role models so that these kids that are discriminated against know that life gets better, know that they can grow up and have these positive role models to look up to. And you see it in our culture now. You see it in media. We have more trans activists out there like Laverne Cox, and there's more documentaries on Netflix. Something's coming out on June 19th called Disclosure, and it's a documentary on trans people in the media now. Janet Mock is a very famous media person. There's a lot going on.
Mm-hmm. What about you, Lasia? What's your personal story and some of the challenges that you've had to overcome, and the story that you share to hopefully inspire others?
Well, I'm a trans woman myself, and I left Guam in 1993 because of the discrimination here. It was so bad. I was living on the streets. I couldn't get a job. I was fired from a job at the Hyatt at the time, and there were no laws protecting me. And so I literally had to work on the streets, which is something that a lot of members of my community and the trans community end up doing. They're pushed to the fringes, and they end up doing jobs and doing illegal things that they don't want to. So I left Guam, and I went into hiding for 20-something years, and I lived in fear every day of my life, always wondering, looking over my back if I was going to be outed. And I was outed, and then I'd have to move again. So there was that. And then I finally, there came a point in my life when I said, hey, no, you know what? I'm a part of the problem. If I'm not living out loud, if I'm not living my truth, if I'm not advocating, then I'm a part of the problem. And so I did come out on my 40th birthday. So it was a long time. Mm-hmm. And I've been a very strong advocate, speaking out in public in support of the LGBTQ community and our kids. And I wanted to start Guam Pride because when I was living off island, I had the opportunity to attend so many different events where communities celebrated the LGBTQ community, out in the open with their Pride events, and that was something that was lacking here in Guam when I moved back. Was a Pride event that was open to the public, open to the kids, that was out in the daylight, where there was a safe place for everyone to come and congregate and get that show of support. And our numbers have doubled every year. Our sponsorships have doubled every year. And unfortunately, we won't be able to congregate and come together in our normal way this year. But hopefully, we can later in the year, in the fall, if we get the go ahead. So we're excited about that. But we're looking forward to this afternoon. I hope it doesn't rain. And we look forward to everyone coming out and showing their support for our LGBTQ community and the commonalities that we have with the Black Lives Matter movement.
Well, thank you, Lasia.
Yeah. Again, I think it's without a doubt that you have made a difference since coming back. Yeah. I know that I think it was a few years ago that you hosted Guam's very first. I want to say it's a parade. It was at Ipao Beach, and it was the first time something like that was held on Guam. So thank you for what you're doing.
Thank you. You're my pleasure. It's an honor, to work with our community and work with the kids. And, it's a passion project. And I get so much out of it, too, being there with all the people in the community and seeing all their eyes and the stories that they share with me.
Right on, Lasia. And thanks for coming on and, again, sharing your story. I think it's inspiring, and we definitely want to applaud you for the work that you do for the community.
And just real quickly, again, just give out the information about the wave today.
today. It's from 4 to 6 p.m. Across from the ITC building on the corner. We'll be waving, so please, everyone, come out. Bring your rainbows. We're actually going to be hanging a flag from the ITC building in a few hours, a big rainbow flag. They said it was okay, so it'll be there all day. And thank you to the community for supporting us, and Lieutenant Governor and Governor and all the businesses. And thanks for giving me this platform, guys.
Of course, Lasia.
Thanks, Lasia.
You take it easy. Wash your hands, Sky.
Adios.
Okay, bye. Hey, 802 or KUAM FM in Agotnya, Guam. This is the KUAM News Takeover, Guam's favorite containing COVID. Good morning to our KUAM TV 11 viewers. Good morning, Guam. Viva Business! The show is proudly brought to you by Cabo Enterprises, Ambrose Inc., IT&E, Coast 360, and the Bank of Guam. We'll take a short break, come back, do our anthems, do our news, and this hour we'll have the Superintendent of the Guam Department of Education, John Fernandez. Also break bread with the new State Party Chair of the Democratic Party of Guam, and catch up with the Guam Police Department and Sergeant Paul Tapau. All that is coming up here on Containing COVID. Good morning.
Be healthy. Be informed with IT&E.